Hi artists, it's Miss Lori and I'm happy to see you back in our shared virtual art studio. Today we're going to work with collage again, but this time we're going to be working with separate shapes that don't touch. We're going to start talking about scissors and how to hold them. If you don't have scissors, you can do all the things we're doing today, but with tearing techniques like we learned last week. Most scissors have a small circle and an oval. Your thumb goes in the circle and 2 or 3 other fingers fit in the oval. Be sure to hold your scissors so that your thumb points up to the ceiling. Then tuck your elbow into your waist so that your thumb stays pointing up to the ceiling when you cut. Now we're going to talk about cutting different shapes. Freeform shapes are hard to describe. They don't really follow any rules. You can cut a freeform or organic shape by just taking your scissors and letting them go for a walk. They can kind of wind or curve around, and when they come back to meet themselves, you have a freeform shape. You can also cut pointy freeform shapes. Let's cut geometric shapes. What is a geometric shape? That's a shape that I can easily describe to you with a word like square or circle or triangle or octagon or rectangle. Geometric shapes can be big or little, but they always look the same. A triangle or a square, small or big, will always look like a triangle or a square. So let's start by cutting a square. You can use the edges that are already there. It's helpful to look at the paper first and try to see where you would cut your shape. A square. I can cut a rectangle too using the sides of the paper that are already cut. Here are 3 rectangular shapes. What if you want to make a circle? A circle's a little bit harder. Some of you have had a lot of practice cutting, and you can just cut a circle out on your own. You don't need help with it. If you need help, start with a square. Cut off the corners of the square. You'll make an octagon or 8-sided shape. It's similar to a circle, but it needs to be rounded. So I take my scissors and I cut around the edge. My thumb that's holding the scissors is pointing up, and my other thumb, look what it's doing. It's turning the shape so that I can make it into a circle. When I come back to where I started, I have to come off of the shape to end it. And if you want to make an oval, it's similar to a circle, but you start with a rectangle and you cut the edges off. By the way, save your little triangles. They're really fun to use later on. So it's not an oval, but it's close to. And I just put my scissors on and I cut around and around and around and around. And there I am. I've got my oval. One more technique you want to learn if you're more advanced, and it's a little difficult, but I think that you can learn it, is a spiral. Spirals are so mysterious. They move outward for infinity, or they can move inward for infinity. They can just keep going, they're endless. So take your circle and imagine a spiral on it. Then take your scissors and start cutting, almost as if you're drawing a spiral, cutting a spiral into your circle until you get to the center. Notice that it doesn't show well if I were to glue it down, but there is a way to make my spiral really show. Watch what I'm doing. I'm cutting the spiral line in half as I go around. This requires a lot of concentration and practice. If you don't get it the first time, keep trying. You'll get it eventually. Next, you separate your 2 cut pieces and you have 2 spirals. Look how exciting they are when they're glued down. One more technique you can learn is how to make a peekaboo shape. I'm going to demonstrate this by tearing because some of you don't have scissors. Take a piece of paper and fold it in half. And if you're tearing, you're going to tear a shape out from the middle. And open it up, and that looks really cool. Now I'm going to teach you how to make a symmetrical shape. Symmetrical means the same on both sides. The circle and the square and the rectangle are all symmetrical shapes. If you fold them, they're pretty much the same on both sides. We'll make a free-form symmetrical shape. We start with a rectangle and we fold it in half. And I'm going to go from the side where the fold is. I'm going to leave that side folded, and I'm going to cut here. And I'm going to make, I don't know, something interesting. I'm having fun designing things with my scissors. It's like I'm drawing with the line of the scissor. And let's see if this is symmetrical. Yep, it's the same on both sides. So once you've cut a lot of shapes and you've really looked and thought about the shapes you're cutting, you're going to put them together in a separate collage. Separate means not touching, it means the pieces don't touch. So gather together several pieces, several shapes, and then we're going to take them and start to place them. I'm going to place the bigger ones first. Ooh. When you're placing things, try at least 2 or 3 different ways. They're not going to touch in this composition. So this would be touching, right? And this would be separate. So you could take 3 pieces and try to figure out how they would look really cool together. See, I noticed that that is a lot less interesting than this, where you can see the space here interact with that. And then, where would I put this piece? There's always a sweet spot for a piece. A sweet spot when you're playing a sport like tennis is that perfect place in the racket, or baseball, a perfect place in the bat, where when you hit the ball, it has the optimum effect. It really moves it. So we're going to be looking for the optimum place, not the right place, because we're all different and we all have a different idea of what's interesting visually. There's not really a right or wrong, but we're just playing to find the spot that feels sweet, that feels right, that feels perfect for what we like. As soon as you find a placement you like for the first 3 pieces, you can glue them down. Glue around the edges of your pieces. You don't have to glue the whole center. And then press it down where you put the glue on the edges. As you compose your pieces separately, look for the sweet spot where it feels like a great place to put your pieces. Remember, if you don't have scissors, you can do absolutely everything by tearing with your thumbs. Remember, one thumb pulls back up towards you and the other thumb pushes down, and you tear in between. For materials, you'll need construction paper or some paper bags or junk mail from your house to cut the shapes out of. If you have scissors, use them. And if you don't have scissors, you can do the entire assignment ripping paper with your thumbs. For your background, either use a plain piece of white paper or 2 pieces taped together, Or if you got the art bundle, use one of the larger pieces if you'd like from the art bundle. Here I am finishing it with all small pieces. Do you notice that they're all separate? None of them are touching. I'm done. When you're done, upload it to your Google Classroom file. For fun, you could put it on your class Padlet as well.